Hey everybody, welcome to episode 32 of the Super Grapple Bros podcast. I am your host, Murpho, and I am once again by myself. Murpho was going to be here with me tonight, but unfortunately, something came up, and he had to unfortunately sit this week out. I'm sure he'll be back next week. So it's just me solo, and I mean, it's a good time for him to not be here, because we don't have any reviews or predictions to be going on for a pay-per-view because a WWE pay-per-view is not happening this weekend. I believe it's December 17th, which is still 2 weeks away. We're still quite a ways away from Clash of Champions, and nothing too serious in the world of video gaming is going on this week. The Game Awards, I think, happen this weekend or next weekend, so we can't even really talk about that. But anyway, this is Super Grapple Bros, the podcast about two brothers who are former WWE employees that like video games and the wrestling. I am one of the brothers, the older brother, the elder statesman, if you will, of this sibling duo. I don't know if any of that made sense, but I just said it anyway. And we are going to be going into me and all of you guys listening, mostly, and I will be talking. You guys, as always, feel free to join in via comments, email, all that stuff. Give those details at the end of the podcast. Anyway, this will be a straight, pretty much news discussion show for both wrestling and video games. Going to do wrestling first, then video games. Lots to talk about in the world of wrestling. A lot happened in the world of wrestling, and quite a little bit happened in the world of video games. I'm going to try and keep this to a short episode since I'm by myself. Hello, by the way, to Cam, who is in the Twitch chat. If you guys go to Twitch at twitch.tv/L_Murpho, you can find Super Grapple Bros live and engage in the chat live as Cam just did. So, all right. Anyway, we're going to jump right into the news, and the first bit of news that I would like to discuss in the land of the WWE is new rumors and word and information on the potential return of Daniel Bryan. Now, as we know, Daniel Bryan has had a long-running saga with the WWE on whether or not he is ever going to wrestle again. WWE doctors will not clear him. He's had tons of concussions from all the headshots from, his from wrestling strong style in the indies and all those hard hitting matches, plus the headbutt that he did in WWE. It's caused WWE doctors to not want to clear him. However, Daniel Bryan, we've found out, has been actually medically cleared by multiple doctors that are not WWE doctors. This information is actually coming from a strong source. His wife, actually, Brie Bella, was on Lillian Garcia's podcast this last week on Sirius XM. Well, not on Sirius XM. I'm looking at the other news regarding that stuff. But it was on Lillian Garcia's podcast, Chasing Glory. Brie Bella appeared, and the topic of Daniel Bryan came up, and Brie talked about how he really wanted to get back into the ring, and how after he was told that he couldn't do it anymore. I'll actually read the quote right here, and the very interesting part is at the end, and it ties into the other stuff we'll talk about Daniel Bryan. But the last thing that Brie Bella mentions here is a very important part here. And might actually determine what happens to Daniel Bryan going forward. Now, Brie said from the podcast, from literally the day they told him he couldn't do it anymore, he has flown himself all over the United States to all different doctors to figure out what he could do to help turn that no into a yes. No meaning being able to wrestle, being medically cleared by the doctors, by the WWE doctors. There has been 8 doctors who are like, you can wrestle. A lot of doctors can't see why he can't get in the ring again. I think the WWE is looking at it. He is on such a mission to get back into that WWE ring. Notice how I took my time saying WWE, because Brie said he wants to get into a WWE ring. there are a lot of things saying that Daniel Bryan just wants to wrestle again, period. And if he has to do it on the indies, he will. But the fact that Brie Bella is emphasizing that he wants to get into a WWE ring may mean that Daniel Bryan wants to try and get cleared by the WWE doctors and is on a mission to get cleared by the WWE doctors, potentially before his contract's up. So it seems like Daniel Bryan is trying desperately to be approved so he can wrestle in the WWE again and not have to go back to the indies. That is important because the other news that came out regarding Daniel Bryan is that Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks are putting together a 10,000 seat stadium. It looks like, here's a story right here. This is pulled from Cage Seats. The Ring of Honor World Champion has confirmed that he and his Bullet Club brothers are in the process of securing a 10,000 seat venue to run their own show in 2018. They want to sell that out, and that has to do with the fact that I don't remember what the exact details are of this, but Cody Rhodes, apparently somebody had mentioned that Cody Rhodes could not fill a 10,000 seat stadium, and so he's basically trying to prove that person wrong by saying, I will do it. And all power to Cody. I wish Cody the best. I hope this really goes well. He posted about 10 days ago, 12 days ago, he posted on Twitter of him and the Young Bucks in an empty arena and stated that they were scouting for arenas. But the part that ties into Daniel Bryan here is that he was on Busted Open Radio on November 28th on SiriusXM, and he was asked, this is Bully Ray's podcast, by the way, or radio show, and he was asked, in a perfect world, what would the main event be for the show? And Cody said him versus Daniel Bryan for the Ring of Honor World Championship. So the fact that Cody and Daniel Bryan have been teasing that for a while makes me think that there might be some sort of, despite what Brie Bella said, there might maybe be some sort of little bargain between Cody and Bryan. They've been teasing this, and maybe if Daniel Bryan does get out of his contract and WWE doesn't re-sign him or let him come back to the ring, that Daniel Bryan might make this Cody Rhodes show, which is, I believe, supposed to happen in November of next year, basically a year from now. So WWE's contract with Daniel Bryan will be up because it's going to run out in September. That could be Daniel Bryan's first match back wrestling. He has the approval of 8 doctors, so if WWE won't let him wrestle and won't re-sign him, I'm sure he will go to the indies. However, the fact that Brie has stated that he wants to be in a WWE ring again makes me think maybe Daniel Bryan's going to have a tough decision next year, because if WWE won't medically clear him, maybe he wants to make sure that he has a WWE return and not an indie return, and maybe he will re-sign a contract and have maybe some sort of clause that says if he's ever medically cleared, he can return to wrestle again, but he's a non-camera talent to start. And if he gets that, maybe he'll stay with WWE even though they don't have him cleared yet. Or maybe if he's already gotten approved by 8 other doctors, non-WWE doctors, maybe he will actually get medically cleared by the WWE before his contract's up, and maybe we'll see Daniel Bryan again. I mean, we've seen Daniel Bryan. I mean, you didn't see him take the bump, but we saw him get chokeslammed by Kane on camera. He's been showing tensions with Shane McMahon. He's got that whole thing with The Miz. It seems like WWE, even though they haven't medically cleared him yet, they keep giving Bryan reasons or angles to want to potentially get back into the ring and wrestle. So I think the writers, probably the writers and Vince, are probably just waiting for the medical staff, the WWE doctors, to say that he's okay. But of course, understandably so, the doctors are being very careful, because with Daniel Bryan, if he takes too many more blows to the head or gets concussed again, who knows how long he can go before he's concussed again, and then, he's maybe not allowed to wrestle again. Or maybe gets seriously hurt. Or maybe down the line, years and years and years from now, they said that he was okay, but he wasn't. And what if all these concussions cause some sort of long-term brain damage or issues, or reduces mental faculties and capabilities, and affects his life at home with Brie and their daughter, potential other children as well. So I feel like WWE is really trying to look out for Daniel Bryan's future, maybe also to cover their own asses from a public relations standpoint, and potentially lawsuit standpoint, but also probably because, they want Daniel Bryan to be safe and be able to lead a happy life post wrestling and have a good career, even if that is outside of the ring. So it looks like Daniel Bryan's going to be back wrestling in 2018. The only question is, will it be for WWE or will he break out onto the indies? So it's going to be an interesting little story that'll play out over the next 12 months, the saga of Daniel Bryan. So that is the big story in wrestling. The other big story that is to be talked about, that I'm going to bring up the stories right now, I'm trying to read these off as I get them, is the fact that on Raw this week, Matt Hardy wrestled Bray Wyatt. He lost to Bray Wyatt. Then he sat in the turnbuckle on the ring and started doing his delete taunt aggressively. And Michael Cole mentioned, well, maybe we're seeing some sort of breakdown with Matt Hardy. And he has now changed his name on Twitter to Woken Matt Hardy. And it seems like what's happening is we are finally, at long last, getting the broken gimmick in WWE for Matt Hardy. And I am excited. I am beyond excited. I cannot wait. Looks like they're going to use the phrase woken instead of broken. I like broken better, but I understand why they did it. They're trying to distance themselves. And at the time, they still had legal issues they had to deal with Anthem. But I will get to that in a second because there is an update and change with that. I'll actually get to it. I'll get to it in a second. After that match, Matt Hardy came out with about 30-second video of him sitting in the corner of an abandoned ring, and he says, "Senor," to this one person, and tells him to fetch him his battle jacket, or jacket of battle. And it's his red jacket that he wore during Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, everybody. So I'm back. Apologies for that. I'm gonna obviously edit that out of the audio version, and but for those of you on the VOD version, and everything, unfortunately, I actually knocked the power cord out of my my mic, so I had to plug that back in. Anyway, as I was saying, Hardy got his broken gimmick jacket that he wore in TNA and ROH or wherever he went, WCPW, all those places during the broken gimmick. And he had somebody who with the shirt named Senor, it looked like it said Senor Benjamin, the person who brought him the shirt. And he put in a tweet to Bray Wyatt, which let me draw that story up, teasing what he was going to be doing. Where are you? Article. He addressed Bray Wyatt alongside the tweet saying, "Thank you for reigniting my white magic with your black magic, WWE Bray Wyatt. In return, it is now my duty to delete your demon." So it seems like he's going to be having a long stand. We're going to get an evolution of the broken character, and he's going to go against Bray Wyatt, which is cool. It might actually make me excited for Bray Wyatt again. It's something Bray Wyatt desperately needs, and it's something Matt Hardy needs. Perfect feud for Matt Hardy to bring in the broken gimmick. However, he mentions that he's going to delete your demon, so I wonder if he's going to go against Finn Balor here, since Finn Balor is the demon, and was a demon that Bray Wyatt couldn't defeat or delete. So maybe we'll get Matt Hardy versus Finn Balor. And there is a way that we could do this where Finn Balor still looks good to go up against Brock Lesnar. Say if they want to still do that for Royal Rumble and protect Matt, we could have Bray Wyatt basically cost Matt the match, being able to delete the demon, where it looks like maybe Matt Hardy's going to do it. And because of something that Bray Wyatt does, Balor wins. And so Hardy goes on to try and delete Bray Wyatt. And then hopefully we'll get a rivalry where Matt Hardy will battle Jeff Hardy and turn Jeff back into Brother Nero. Or maybe Jeff will just come back and be Brother Nero. So that is all very exciting. In related news, however, Anthem, the company that owns TNA now, has reportedly finally given up and backed off legally pursuing the broken gimmick. So if WWE and Matt Hardy wanted to, they could actually use the broken gimmick now, but it seems like they want to keep it to their own. From what I've been reading, it seems like they want to keep it to Woken, so that way it's got their own thing to it. But if they wanted to, they could call Matt Hardy broken now, if they wanted to. Apparently now Anthem has come to a deal where they are allowing their talent to keep their gimmicks and the gimmicks they use and create in TNA after their career, and they're going to retroactively put that into agreements and contracts from current and former talent who don't already have that in the clause of their contract. So basically what that does is it frees up Matt Hardy to use the broken gimmick. Maybe not legally exactly at this moment, even though they've verbally given like their blessing to Matt Hardy. They haven't legally done it, so maybe once it's legally finally happened, he will be able to fully legally do it, but they're moving forward with the Woken gimmick anyway, and basically we're going to get the broken gimmick for Matt Hardy finally. Anthem will not pursue any kind of legal ramifications for any similarities, and they are basically they've waved the white flag, they're giving up. Other WWE news, AJ Styles addressed shot down rumors going on of him potentially retiring soon. He said he's going to be going on still for quite a while. Other stuff going on is we may get potentially Rob Gronkowski, Gronk versus Mojo at WrestleMania 34. Because Mojo Rawley, for those of you who don't know, turned on Zack Ryder on SmackDown. The Hype Bros are no more. Kind of sucks, 'cause I feel like that was something okay they had going on in NXT, and it would have been cool to see them keep going, but they really weren't going anywhere. And to be honest, I kind of want Zack Ryder to be doing better things, and maybe this will be better for Mojo in the long run for his career. But Gronkowski saw the video where Mojo turned on Zack, and Mojo said, I saw what you did. And it got me thinking, and he did this in a short little video that he posted to Twitter, I believe. Don't you do that to Team JB. I believe Team JB is what Gronk and Mojo call each other. So he's basically warning Mojo, like, I saw what you did to Zack. Don't do that to me. Maybe that's a little bit of a joke. Gronk just getting involved and having some fun. Or maybe that's a seed being planted for WrestleMania. Maybe we'll get Gronk versus Mojo. Or maybe Mojo versus Ryder with Gronk in Ryder's corner. Who knows? But I would totally be down to see Gronk in at WrestleMania again. That was the coolest part of the Battle Royal to me. And I mean, it saw Jinder Mahal end up losing. Mojo Rawley to me is better than seeing Mojo Rawley win a match is better to me than seeing Jinder Mahal win a match. I'm not much of a Jinder Mahal fan, as you guys well know. What else do we have? We also have an interesting story involving John Cena. John Cena is apparently being sued by the Ford company because apparently he bought a car, or Ford allowed him to purchase a car early, the 2017 Ford GT, and he did it. But part of the agreement was for him not to sell it for at least 2 years, and then he went and he sold it for a profit. He told Ford that he sold it so he could pay some bills, and I don't know what, that sends red flag. Honestly, if that's true, that sends red flags to me about John Cena, because John Cena should be so well paid that bills should not be an issue to him where he has to sell a 2017 Ford GT for money. Like, how badly is John Cena mismanaging his money if he has to sell a 2017 Ford GT to pay his bills? Like, unless something happened, maybe paycheck-wise, like you would imagine that a man like John Cena would have so much money in savings accounts, they wouldn't have to worry about that. I mean, he's starring in his own animated movie right now, let alone the long history as WWE. Just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, Ford is suing Cena for the profit that Cena made, plus damages and losses suffered due to his actions. Cena is trying to, I believe, come to an agreement with them, so we will see what happens. It's going to be an interesting little thing. But yeah, Cena getting sued because he can't pay his bills, so he had to break an agreement with a car. In Clash of Champions news, getting to actual wrestling stuff, 3 title matches were announced for Clash of Champions, and that will be Charlotte Flair versus Natalya in a Women's Championship rematch. Baron Corbin will be defending the United States Championship in a triple threat match against Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler, so very interesting. I would love to see Bobby Roode win that match, though Baron Corbin's probably going to be the one to do it. Good to see Ziggler getting a championship match. Maybe we'll see something come out of him from there. That's going to be interesting. And then instead of getting the Usos versus Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, we're getting the New Day mixed in there as well, which is yay. I've said it before, I said it again, I could watch New Day and Usos wrestle each other to death over and over and over again, but I was hoping there'd be a little bit of a break so that we could see Gable and Shelton Benjamin have their own little thing against the Usos, but I guess they're injecting the New Day. Maybe the rivalry's not going too well. But those are the 3 title matches, and the first 3 matches announced for Clash Champions. Interesting matches. They should be good. They should all be good matches. I don't expect them to be bad. I mean, Corbin has gotten better, and Roode and Ziggler, we know what they can do. That's going to be a good match. Flair and Natalya, Charlotte and Natty always put on a good match together, so that'll be good. And then while the Usos, the New Day, and Gable and Benjamin might be a little cluttered storyline-wise, those guys can all go, so I'm sure that's going to be an awesome wrestling match there. In NXT news, we have plans finally announced. We know now how Andrade's challenger is going to be determined following Drew McIntyre's injury. There is going to be 4 singles matches by NXT between NXT superstars and 1 UK superstar. And the 4 winners will battle in a fatal 4-way match, which will determine the number 1 contender. I believe NXT has done this before. I just can't remember off the top of my head when they did this before. But anyway, the matches are going to be Killian Dane versus Trent Seven, which I see Killian Dane winning that one. Cassius Ohno versus the Velveteen Dream. As much as I would like to see KO Cassius Ohno win this, the potential of having Velveteen Dream Patrick Clark after the match he had with Aleister Black at TakeOver compete for the number 1 contendership, I feel like that's got to go to Velveteen Dream. We got Lars Sullivan versus Roddy Strong. This is This one and the next one are probably the hardest ones to figure out. Because Roddy is like a top contender and a main eventer in NXT right now, but they really want to build up Lars Sullivan as a monster. I feel like the only way Roddy makes it into the Fatal 4-Way is if he wins by DQ. Otherwise, I think Lars Sullivan's going to be in there. And then you got Adam Cole versus Aleister Black. As much as I want Adam Cole to win this, I can't see them handing Aleister Black his first loss on what isn't a takeover. So I assume there might be some tomfoolery involved with Adam Cole, and Aleister Black will win that match. And so my prediction for that is the Fatal 4-Way will likely be Killian Dane versus Velveteen Dream versus Lars Sullivan versus Aleister Black. Maybe Adam Cole and Roddy Strong cost each other their matches. That way Roddy Strong and Adam Cole can maybe have a match takeover. That way that avoids hurting either of their momentums in those matches. And then you get a cool little thing where Velveteen Dream and Aleister Black can reacquaint themselves in a Fatal 4-Way. But I think Aleister Black is going to win that match. And then whether or not Aleister Black will defeat Andrade Cien Almas is a thing to see. Because as much as I would like to see him win and not lose to Andrade Cien Almas, I could very much see the manager becoming a big deal and big factor, just like it did with Drew McIntyre. And it would be an okay reason for Aleister Black to lose his first match, because it wouldn't be because he got beat. It would be because of a manager interfering and causing all kinds of tomfoolery and shenanigans outside and potentially getting inside the ring as well. And then the final piece of NXT news, the second piece of NXT news that I have to share, is that Lio Rush, rumors came out that he was released from NXT, but that turns out not to be the case, as last night he was spotted wrestling it as a house show versus Adrian, and he won his match. So, people thought Lio Rush was gone. He's not. He's still around. That's good to hear. Final piece of wrestling news I want to touch on today is that HBO is doing a documentary on Andre the Giant, and the first trailer for it came out today. So if you have a chance, go over to HBO's channel on YouTube and check it out. It is approximately, I think it's only like, 40 seconds long? I'm going to click it right here. Yeah, it's 40 seconds long, and it's, I don't know who's talking over it. I'm trying to, let me see if they list it. Who is, I don't think they mention, yeah, I don't see any mentioning of who the narrator is who is speaking over this, but the film is being co-produced with WWE and Bill Simmons' The Ringer site, so I think it's going to be good. Andre was just a one-of-a-kind person, and not just because of his size. He apparently had a massive heart. He was a great human being. So I am really looking forward to this. It's coming out in April 2018. So yeah, if you have a chance, please do go and check it out. The story on Cage Seat says to expect a lot of footage and stories to demonstrate how larger than life Andre was, including interviews with his brothers, Rob Reiner, who directed The Princess Bride, and Vince McMahon. So that will wrap up the wrestling. Oh, actually, I won't wrap up the wrestling. I got one last thing to touch on. I totally forgot about this story. No, Alexa, you shut your mouth. I didn't even mention Bliss. Why? Why are you doing that? Be quiet. You'd like to hear some rap, right? No, I don't want to hear some rap. Now shut up. That woman. That mechanical woman. Final piece of wrestling news is that David Otunga has reunited with his son. He was denied custody of his son as he and his soon-to-be ex-wife, Jennifer Hudson, are going through a messy separation. Jennifer Hudson claimed domestic abuse against Otunga, saying that she was fearing for herself, and basically got an emergency custody of their child. I've seen stories, I don't know if it's confirmed whether or not, that Hudson apparently made up the domestic abuse and she basically just wanted Otunga gone. and wanted sole custody of their child. So that way she could be with this other guy. Can't remember who it is. Like, I'm doing very bad journalism right now. But it turned out that Hudson changed her mind. Seems like she may have dropped the domestic abuse charges and has dropped the temporary protection, like restraining order thing against Otunga. So Otunga now has joint custody. It looks like they're going to work out a much more civil and mature and adult deal as far as custody goes, separation, which is great because Otunga seems like a good guy from everything I know of him, and it's really horrible to see any parent separated from their child. And really, the best thing for any child in any divorce or separation, I feel, is that after the separation, that both parents are involved in the child's life. So long as obviously as long as the parents aren't abusive to the child. So it's great to know that Jennifer Hudson came to her senses, and it seems like things are going to be worked out, and both Jennifer Hudson and David Otunga will be involved in the kid's life. So that's going to do it for wrestling. We're going to move now into video game news, and the big news from video games this week is that CNBC released a report with the headline, EA's Day of Reckoning is here. After Star Wars game uproar, $3 billion in stock value wiped out. Now, this is a little old. This is a couple days old. This came out on Tuesday. And it was updated the next morning on Wednesday. But I don't see anything saying anything about the update. I don't know if the stock prices have gone up yet, but apparently shareholders have not been too confident in Electronic Arts EA since the botched launch of Battlefront 2 and its microtransaction system. As a result, EA's stock dropped 8.5% as of Tuesday, which equaled or totaled to approximately $3.1 billion in shareholder value. So basically, shareholders and the company's value via their shareholders' stock value dropped and lost $3.1 billion. I think that made sense, whatever I just said. But yeah, basically, EA's value is $3.1 billion less as a whole. All because of this disaster. It's a huge, huge hit. And hopefully this is something else that sends the message to not just EA, but to developers out there that you have to be smart and fair when you're doing these microtransaction loot crate systems. Keep it cosmetic. Make the drops fair and reasonable. Don't lead into gambling. Don't make it feel like it's an endless money pit. You're just dropping money into this bottomless well. So seems like gamers finally stood up, spoke with their wallets. Sales didn't do as well as the first Battlefront from first indications, and EA got hit in the wallet. And hopefully this sends a message to publishers, and developers everywhere that, gamers are mad as hell and they're not going to take it anymore. There is only so far that they are willing to go with these loot crates and microtransactions, and there is a line, and EA crossed it. Don't do what EA did. Don't cross that line in the future. In addition to that news, there was a leak of Star Wars Battlefront 2 that showed character customization options. So, basically the cosmetic type of stuff that people were hoping would be in a loot crate system for Battlefront 2. So, armor pieces, helmets, heads, I think armor patterns on the armor for troopers and soldiers, which is good. Nothing yet, though, about potential cosmetics for heroes, but if this is something that's going to come into the game and become part of the loot system and become the microtransaction system, that's great. That's what this game needs to be. That's what that loot crate system needs to have. The percussion needs to get thrown out. I think the star cards need to be thrown out. and progression needs to be easier, and that whatever you get in loot boxes are cosmetic. Makes things much more reasonable, because if you're buying stuff and getting stuff, it doesn't impact how the game is played, doesn't unbalance the playing field between different players. Everybody has same access to everything. You'll just look a little different. So long as this is going to be implemented into a new revamped loot system for EA Battlefront 2, then good on EA and DICE. It looks like they're on their way to making good with customers and with gamers. So who knows? Maybe Battlefront 2 is an epic disaster with a horrible progression of loot system at launch, but maybe in a couple months, it'll actually be a really good game. This problem will be fixed, and maybe it'll be an amazing Star Wars game. And at that point, should that happen, I'll probably pick it up. If I don't get it for Christmas, because I may have asked for it for Christmas, because, hey, I wasn't spending the money. But if I don't get it for Christmas, and a system like this is implemented, then I will more than happily pick it up, the game, and play the game. It'll probably make the game a lot better, and hopefully then gamers will buy that version once those updates will go. And that would also send a message of, hey, we didn't spend money on this because this was bad, but you changed it, and now we're spending money. We will reward you for doing the right thing. And speaking of doing the right thing and the wrong thing, there is a lot of news this week on Destiny 2. Destiny 2 has its Curse of Osiris expansion coming out later on this month. Hello to Big Stupid, by the way, who has come into the chat. And they were not doing a good job. They weren't really answering a lot of the issues that players had regarding Destiny 2 and a lot of the problems it was having, and the live streams weren't doing a good job of that at all. So Destiny 2 developer Bungie they canceled this week's live stream, and in favor, they instead released a blog post titled "The State of Destiny 2," which was I'll read the article from Polygon. The State of Destiny 2, where design director Luke Smith and game director Christopher Barrett acknowledged that the studio needs to be more transparent and open up a dialogue with players. Here's a quote from Barrett and Smith in the post. Our team has been reading feedback and working on updates to improve the game. We've also been reading some tough criticism about our lack of communication, and we agree we need to be more open. Just reading up on this to try and see what the list of improvements are. I might need to click on the actual post, but yeah, I'm going to click on the post here, and we are going to get right down to it. The State of Destiny 2. Yeah. There's a lot of updates, so bear with me. We're going to run through them right here. So here's the list of upcoming improvements in the State of Destiny 2 that Bungie posted in order to be more communicative and open with their player base. It's in bullet points. It starts with new systems and rewards to give our most engaged players additional optional pursuits, including a new weapon tier, Masterworks, which will feature stat trackers, random re-rollable stat bonuses, unique item tooltips, and item details screens. See the December update details section below for more info. Basically, what I believe, from what I understand, Masterwork weapons are basically legendary weapons that can be upgraded to have exotic type stats. So it's basically an in-between between legendary and exotic. It's a cool way to be able to forge and change and modify your weapons and change those up. And it opens up a different form of progression. Other stuff, improve vendor rewards, adding ways for people to purchase items directly with their legendary shards and tokens. So vendors are going to give you more stuff, it appears. Adding armor ornaments, which is something that was in Rise of Iron that was really, really cool. For those of you who don't remember the what is the name of the group? Why am I forgetting? The Iron Lords. The Iron Lord armor, if you put the ornaments on it, you actually had like flames going on. Like it changed the way that the armor looked, and it had like flames in different spots going on in the armor. And they did that with the Siva raid armor as well. That is finally going to be coming to Destiny 2 as well. Better incentives for players who complete challenging prestige activities. We're targeting a January update to provide better incentives to complete prestige activities. Better rewards and replay value for strikes, adventures, and lost sectors. In December, we will be including a heroic strike playlist and more generous strike rewards. Rewards for adventures and lost sectors are still on our radar, but will not be delivered for our December updates. Private matches will be coming to the Crucible, still targeting early 2018, and expect to have better insight into exact timing of in the new year. We are also moving ranked PvP to the top of our priority list for next year to support the competitive community. So Destiny 2 will finally, and Destiny in general, will finally get ranked player versus player combat. I think that made sense, but a playlist for ranked PvP, finally a competitive ranked playlist, which is awesome. That's something the community's been begging for a long time. Crucible... Crucible tuning, like adjusted supremacy scoring and better spawning rules. In December, we will introduce additional updates and bug fixes intended to improve these areas of the Crucible. Better incentives for completing Crucible matches and penalties for quitting competitive games. A quitter penalty system is currently in development, which is good because from what I've noticed from a little bit I've played about Crucible, people tend to be like, all right, screw this, I'm out, quite often in Destiny. And you can expect an update on the deployment of the system in the new year. And I say quite often, not often enough to make it unplayable, but every once in a while, you'll get guys who just up and leave. It's not cool. At least now they'll be penalized for it. Lots of other games have done it. I don't know why Destiny hasn't done it yet, but at least they're doing it now. Continued improvements to Iron Banner and faction rallies, including uniqueness of rewards. The next Iron Banner and Faction Rally will introduce improvements in both these areas. See the December update details for more info. Changes to the mod economy, more interesting and impactful. The Gunsmith will have some updates to how the mods are acquired. We're exploring more updates to this system in the new year. Ongoing improvements to exotics, including adjustments to reduce instances of duplication. We plan to tune underperforming exotics and continue to make targeted updates and improvements. Duplication protective will be added for exotics in the new year. Among this involves the new type of exotic that you can get from Xur with legendary shards. I can't exactly remember the name of it, but it was like something exotic. And basically what it is you pay a crap ton of legendary shards, but you're guaranteed to get a random exotic that you don't already own. So it helps you prevent duplicates. If you're a collector and you don't want to get a duplicate engram, or say Xur's selling stuff that you already have, you can buy this exotic for a lot more shards, but you're guaranteed to get an exotic you don't already own. So it allows people to collect exotics a little easier, and keep people from having to farm and grind as much. And the last thing listed here is an emote interface that allows players to equip Salty, Spicy Ramen, 6-shooter, and Flip Out all at the same time. So basically a emote wheel like in Overwatch. So lots of good stuff coming to Destiny 2. It seems like they're addressing some of the problems that players had. I feel like a lot of people had issues with the end game. People didn't like I feel like they didn't like the fact there were no armor ornamentations. That a lot of the end game rewards were local, like not so much factions, but local token creation, which didn't always get you the weapons and armor that you were looking for, or good weapons and armor. I don't really know exactly myself from personal experience, because I stopped playing on PlayStation 4 when I hit 282 because I was raid ready, and then I started working on my PC character who isn't level 40 yet. So I really haven't run into a lot of these walls and issues and problems that regular Destiny players have been having. But good on Bungie for realizing they weren't being too communicative, and they wanted to actually stop talking about the expansion and talk about what they're going to do to improve the game itself. That is one of the things that I've always liked about Bungie, is that they try to communicate well with the community. And that's a good thing about the Destiny community too, is that when they don't do that, the Destiny community will let them know, and Bungie will be like, okay, we're sorry, let's communicate with you, the way we should be. In addition to that Destiny 2 news, Destiny 2 support has finally arrived for Amazon Echo, also known as the A word that I will not mention so that way I don't wake up my Echo. Basically, there is now a Destiny 2 service for Alexa devices. You can download it on your Alexa app, put it into your Alexa, and basically you can use Destiny while you're playing Destiny 2. You can say to your Echo, and this is probably going to activate my Echo, but I'll do it anyway. Basically say like, Alexa, save Crucible loadout, or Alexa, load Crucible loadout, or Alexa, ask Ghost about this planet, or ask Ghost about the Warlocks, and you'll get info dumps, and Alexa will answer you in the voice of the Ghost, which is pretty cool. So for those of you who have an Amazon Echo and want to be extra lazy and want to just use your voice, can send commands to your Echo or Echo Dot. Then we've got a Pokemon Go update for those who play Pokemon Go. Ho-Oh, the not Lugia, not Lugia, the not Lugia legendary from the Johto region is now obtainable in Pokemon Go. However, he is only a limited time acquisition. So if you want Ho-Oh, you gotta go find yourself a raid that he's involved in and capture him before December 12th. So get going, Pokemon Go players. Get going. Get grabbing that legendary bird, Ho-Oh. And for those of you who don't know, Ho-Oh is also the legendary bird that Ash saw at the end of the very first episode of the Pokemon anime. The more you know. Final bit of news today that I'm going to touch on involves PUBG, which reminds me there is no weekly Overwatch news, which is fitting because, D-Murph's not here. That's normally his thing. PUBG is the final bit of news. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is getting 2 games on mobile. PUBG is going mobile. That is right. You are not hearing wrong. You are not on some sort of trip or fever dream. PUBG is coming to mobile in 2 different games. I will read from Polygon, the Polygon article on it. Read to you guys what these games are about. I'm not sure how these are going to work or if they're going to be that great, but props to Bluehole and PlayerUnknown for expanding the IP to try and cash in on the popularity of PUBG. Anyway, quote from Polygon. The first mobile PUBG game revealed is Army Attack in production at Timmy Studio. It will include all-out naval warfare where players can control ships and gun each other down at sea. There are also helicopters players can fight from and not just parachute out of. These are both marked changes from the traditional Battle Royale setup, with the teaser suggesting an overall arcade-style gameplay. So basically, it looks like a naval battle royale thing where maybe like the last person stands, or maybe it's like PUBG aesthetics, but maybe it's something like Clash of Clans, but navally, arcadey. I don't know. It sounds really weird. I don't know if I'm sold on it. I don't know how well that one's going to do. However, the second mobile game, as quoted from Polygon, Take 2 of PUBG on mobile, Battlefield, is more of what Tencent teased when it announced the project earlier this year. It's the standard last man standing setup with players fending for themselves on a deserted island. Lightspeed and Quantum Studio are developing the game. So Battlefield seems like an actual mobile version of PUBG. You got to be the last man standing. You're on a deserted island. You got to fend for yourself, kill people, be the last one left alive. Going to be interesting to see how that translates onto mobile and how you'll be able to do it, but hey, we'll see. It'll be interesting. And the other bit of news is that we found out that PUBG will run at 60 frames per second on the Xbox One X. So if you want to shell out money for the Xbox One X, you can get yourself some crispy 60 frames per second PUBG action. So you just got to shell out for that 4K console. And if you're on PC, I mean, you're enjoying unlimited frames, so what does it matter? But it's good to see that there is a high-quality game like PUBG that's going to go on to these next-gen consoles or these on the current gen's upgraded version of the consoles, at least on Xbox, and have upgraded frames. Still no word, however, on the potential of PUBG coming to PlayStation. As of right now, it is still only coming to Xbox One and Xbox One X. And with that bit of PUBG news, that is going to end this week's podcast, this episode of Super Grapple Bros. This has been episode 32 of Super Grapple Bros. Been doing it solo. Quick stream. I think I kept it under an hour this week. Just doing news, just breaking stuff down and giving my thoughts, giving you guys the info on what's going on in the wrestling video game world. Do not forget, you can catch the Super Grapple Bros podcast live every week on Twitch at twitch.tv/L_Murpho. We normally go live every Friday and Saturday. Times vary because we are two men who have full-time jobs with varying, and one of us, me, has a varying schedule, and the other one has a family that he also has to, take care of and interact with and keep happy. So varies whenever we get to go live on Friday and Saturday, but just keep an eye out on Twitter for us, and we try to keep you guys updated when we go live. I am at L_Murpho on Twitter. DMurph is at DMurph_42. You can also catch us in VOD form on Twitch if you miss us live. Also in VOD form, we are on YouTube 24 hours after the live stream goes up on Twitch. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/LMurphoReal. So head over there. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. You can hear us in audio form on various different locations. Apple iTunes, Google Play Store, SoundCloud, and other various places. Just search for Super Grapple Bros. You can also reach out to us. Well, also, before I forget, on the podcast, do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. The more ratings and reviews we get, especially on iTunes, the more visibility we get. We'll actually show up when people search for things, and that'll bring more people in to listen and engage in conversation with you guys and with us, and we have a better time. Well, we always have a good time. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, if you want to reach out to us and you can't do so in the comments or don't want to do so in the comments of YouTube or in the chat of Twitch, you can email us at supergrappbros@gmail.com. Send us your trivia, send us your ideas, send us your questions. We will do our best to answer them in a timely fashion on the podcast. So that's all that stuff I covered. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, audio, email. So that wraps up the house cleaning. I think that's what the phrase is. It's the end of a long week. My brain is fried. I haven't got much sleep this week, so forgive me, guys, for any mental lapses I've had this episode. It's been quite a bit, but I appreciate you guys sticking it out with me and putting up with just me this week. Next week, I believe we will be doing we will not be doing our predictions next week. That'll be in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be doing our Clash of Champions review show. Next week, we might be doing Game Awards reactions, since the Game Awards, I believe, are supposed to happen this weekend or sometime next week. So potential Game Awards reactions, more news discussions on all the topics we talked about probably this week, and more as we get closer to Clash of Champions. Thank you all so much for watching. Appreciate your listen. Appreciate your view. Until I see you guys again, deuces. Peace out. See you later. Giving you the deuce. The deuce. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.
Shut up and sit down.